On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
I never thought starting out as the actual carpet cleaner,
Right.
20 some odd years ago, and now to be part of a group in an organization that's eclipsing 150 million in revenue
It's a big deal.
has been pretty amazing. We couldn't go any higher. We couldn't build our business any further than we were willing to elevate and raise our skill set, mindset, and networking. Kicking and screaming and thinking, what the hell am I doing? I've graduated with a business finance degree from a prestigious university, and I'm going back from Dallas, Texas to Denver, Colorado to run a carpet painting business.
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolfe, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in.
What's up, everybody? I'm Chaz Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast. Today, I've got Shane Karren here on the King stage. My brother, Shane. How we doing?
Good to be here.
I had to hurry up quick and hit the recording button because we were just having such a great time and covering all kinds of just really, really good stuff. And I'm like, whoa, we got to get this on the recording for the rest of the audience. Shane, you got a lot going on. Tell us what kind of businesses that you got, brother.
So our main business is Zerorez. So Zerorez carpet cleaning. There's not anything too crazy sexy about the carpet cleaning, but we've done it for the last 20 years. My brother and I, it's a franchise system, and we'll get through the whole story, but Zerorez is the main business. I've got a location in Denver, in Colorado Springs, and we'll kind of get into how that has evolved and what we've done with those two locations.
Yeah.
But we're on a clip to be about a $6 million business this year in those two locations.
Yeah.
But part now and excited to be part of the Zerorez franchisor.
Yeah.
And just an amazing story of how that has over the last 20 plus years. But now we're owners in the franchisor,
right,
and a part of a nearly 150 million revenue company.
Yeah.
And I never thought starting out as the actual carpet cleaner,
right,
20 some odd years ago, and now to be part of a group in an organization that's eclipsing 150 million in revenue.
It's a big deal.
It's been pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, I just, even the way that you talk about it and just your opportunity that you would have to build in your two locations and then be able to be part of the bigger group, I can already tell from our off the air conversation, and even just the way that you presented that, is that you've come in a low position, not because you're not a king, but because I just think that you know how to be humble. And so I'm super interested in where this conversation is going to go. I want to know, before we get to the story, your why. Not just give me the fluffy thing, but like underneath it all, 20 years later, you're still pressing hard. You're here on a podcast. Why?
And this is another story. My why is to do the Lord's will.
Yeah.
And that's my why. To fulfill the role and responsibility as provider, husband, protector.
Right.
Those are my whys. And it's been a hell of a roller coaster to come to that why.
Right.
When I was first there at Brigham Young University, graduated in the Marriott School of Business, I thought by 35, one of my goals that I just kept myself is I'll be a millionaire by the time I'm 35. Didn't quite happen by 35. I'd built a multi-million-dollar business by then.
Yeah.
But I soon realized that was my second quest. Dollars, the money, the financial. I was just talking with a good friend of mine, Tony Baird, with the wood shop just last night. I'd come to realize that the money and the finances at best is a second quest.
Yeah.
But that's my why. What can I do? How can I build for the Lord and for God goodness and in relationships?
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot behind that.
Yeah. I was going to say that trickles into so many other areas,
Yeah.
which you've already mentioned, being a husband, being a father, and even in your business and being a good leader. Like, I mean, we could probably spend a podcast on all of those areas.
Each one of those, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my why is, and it's kind of evolving into what's possible. What if, right? What could be produced
Love it.
and built.
Yeah. We use the phrase in the Gathering the Kings community, grateful, but not done. And
Yeah.
it's like, man, I'm so in a position where whether it's 35 or 55, someone out there today is listening and they're like, okay, I've gotten this far. Maybe I'm running a multi-million-dollar company. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm a multimillionaire. Maybe I'm not. I can be thankful for where I am, but know
Yeah.
like what's possible. Like even maybe I'm worth 100 million, but if 200 million or a billion is possible, then I'm not done. I can't
Why
be.
not? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to put it in, there's a lot of runway in front and a lot of things to accomplish. We get asked with this potential opportunity to sell Zerorez here down the road, hopefully, right? People ask, well, what's next? I don't know. I'm certainly not going to sit back on my laurels and just stop. Once you start getting in this mindset and progression of building an opportunity and possibility,
Yep.
why stop? I'm never going to go play golf and just go retire. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so what's possible? Never finished, right? As David Goggins says, never finished. And so I totally agree with that.
There's a uniqueness. Look, there's nothing wrong with golf. I don't play golf either, but I think that the enjoyment that some people get from golf, guys like you and I get from building, like that's just the best way to
Totally.
describe it. Like,
Yeah.
let me get my hand. It doesn't even mean like literally hands like in a specific project, but let me architect something. Let me start another company. Let me partner with a guy and build a conglomerate and sell it. Like all of that is like that is way more fun than playing golf.
I got about 9 or 10 holes in me and then I'm not done.
Yep.
But
Yep. Attention deficit disorder for me on that for sure. I want to know a little bit of the story. So you kind of gave us the why, but like, okay, you started a carpet cleaning company 20 years ago. You're the guy cleaning the carpets. Like, what'd you do leading up to that? What led you to that?
man, this could take days. Growing up, my father was an entrepreneur, right? A true entrepreneur. I don't really consider myself a true entrepreneur, but he was a true entrepreneur, Gaylord in starting different things. And they managed apartment complexes. And their biggest expensive problem was replacing the carpet.
Okay.
And so he and his business partners came across the technology and they're just visionaries. They put nuts and bolts and things together and started the first iteration of carpet cleaning in Venturi years and years ago, 25, 26 years ago.
Wow.
And Gaylord is my father.
Okay.
And so growing up, I helped do that. My brother helped start, who was my business partner in Denver and in the Springs, helped the first iterations of carpet cleaning. Went through 2, 3, 4 different iterations until it got to Zerorez.
Yeah.
But I grew up slave laboring, right? And doing some just bat crazy stuff.
Yep.
In carpet cleaning. And when I left at 19 years old, left on a church mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I told myself literally, if I never touch another piece of carpet cleaning or equipment again in this life, it'll be too soon. So I left.
Yeah.
I said, hey, I'm going to business school. Well, that's another story. I'm going to go on a mission, come back, do school. Thought about medical for a little bit and then realized in my heart of heart who I truly was. Yeah. And we'll get to that. But I came back after doing some risk management consulting. I came back and knew I needed to be in Colorado to help my brother run this business.
Yeah.
And kicking and screaming and thinking, what the hell am I doing? I've graduated with a business finance degree from a prestigious university. And I'm going back
to be a carpenter
from Dallas, Texas to Denver, Colorado to run a carpet painting business.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until December of 2021 that I really understood the blessing and the benefit of what we had done for the last 19 years.
Wow. What is that? What was that revelation?
We were in Breckenridge, Colorado, December of 21 with some other business partners. And it was just what you are trying to build, what you're looking at running to try to go and build is sitting right in your lap. The golden goose egg is in your lap,
Yeah.
and you need to recognize it. And that night I committed and said, okay, I'm all in.
I'm all in.
And then from there, we were able to do a deal to roll up 12 different locations, roll it up into the Zerorez franchising systems, bring a capital partner on and the Banner Venture or the Banner Group.
Yeah.
And go from thinking, hey, you got a $5 million business
Right.
to $150 million business, and to have a piece in a pie.
Yep.
I just didn't have that kind of vision and mindset. I had the determination that, hey, I was going to do something like that one day.
Right. Right.
But an individual you'll meet and have on, I'm sure of it, Jeremy McGee, who's a business partner of mine now, he helped to paint that vision. And so a group, our kind of investment group, was able to work with Zerorez and broker that deal.
Yeah.
And then roll that into bringing on a capital partner with Banner, and now go and build in Hawaii, Canada, England, and
Wow.
expand the franchise into all those locations and to be a part of that. And so it's amazing how quickly, when you get vision, when you get understanding,
That's right.
how quickly things can blossom and bloom. But it's there's a lot behind all of that story. But
yeah, that didn't just come in one moment. What I love that you said in that, of course, yes, there was a culmination of all this history, 18, 19 years, like you said, and there's mindset that you had to overcome, and there was just a bunch of things that came to that moment. But what I love what you said it so casually, is that we were sitting together with some business guys, partners, friends, whatever. And I'm sure you were doing very similar to what we're doing right now, and very similar to what I try to orchestrate inside of a room of kings, where it's like, look, let's just, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about this?
What's
What do you think
possible?
about that? What's possible? What if we did this? What if we did that? And there's a little bit of a dream to it, because you put a bunch of visionaries in a room, and naturally you're gonna elevate into the sky, to the clouds. But it also is a transfer of courage. And I try to do this with the show here, to maybe the person that's trying to come up behind us, but it can even happen at this level. Guys like you and I, we can sit here across the screen right now, or across the mic, or in Breckenridge in a room. I'm sure you guys were doing some skiing, and it's like you look across the room and you can transfer courage to each other, which then comes out in mindset, a different perspective, and now I can go to work. Right? Would you agree with that?
Oh, without a doubt, right? A year and a half, 2 years prior to that, in my mind was, man, could I run this business on my own, right? Knowing that, hey, there's going to be an exit somewhere or another, right? In my partnership with Jason, with my brother, there's going to be an exit somewhere. Could I run this business on my own? Can I run a $5 million? Can I get it to an $8-10 million business in the next few years? And there was serious doubt, right? Of like, dude, holy hell, can I do this? And sitting, it's kind of funny. My wife, she busts my chops for this. Jeremy and Chad Barnes is another business partner of mine. We're sitting in a hot tub in Breckenridge, where all this just started to develop. And you just started to think through, what if we could do this? What if this could happen? You're already there, right? It's not when I get to this point. No, we're there. We're in the midst of it, and it's hard to see it sometimes. But Chad, just know, dude, we're here. This is possible. And then just the wheels, as you continue to go, okay, here's the next step or two. You have some conversations with Zerorez. What's possible? Is there a possibility there? And just how it's snowballed, and to work with an amazing group, Sean Moon, CEO at Zerorez, and the other founders at Zerorez. It just snowballed, and then it happened. And so it's amazing. You can get pie in the sky sometimes with a bunch of visionaries.
That's right.
But when you've got some visionaries and some integrators,
that's right,
some doers, you can get crap done, man. And things can happen.
Yeah, I love that part of the getting it done, because dreaming is like, first off, you have to dream. Like, you can't, if you don't, then you never actually come out of the day-to-day enough. Like you said, you can't step far enough back. to be able to see what's possible. So seeing what's possible is step one. I agree with you. But man, execution, especially if you're that guy that doesn't necessarily execute super well,
Yeah.
if you are the true visionary and you have no ability to cross a T anywhere ever. So it's like, man, yeah, you got to link arms with some guys that know how to do that. And or you have some accountability somehow. And that's just what I love even about relationships like this, where it's like, I know, even though Shane and I just met an hour ago, basically, it's like going back and forth here. I know that you're doing big things. And so if I'm ever going to catch back up with you again, you're going to ask me, Chaz, what's new? What's going on? And I'm going to say, Shane, what's new? What's going on? And if I say the same thing that I did today, like that's a problem. Like that's in itself accountability. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Going back at first, when I first came from Dallas to Colorado, Jason, my brother and business partner, he's just got no fear. Doing what he did, right? Coming from podiatry school and coming and starting a business, he's a visionary. He can set a vision, but yet he can dive in. And I have never met anybody that has more guts and just grit and tenacity to just dive in and say, let's freaking go. I don't know how it's going to go.
Yep.
And it may be an absolute shit show,
Yep.
but we're going. And that for me, that was just another progression of vision, of tenacity. And that's a whole nother story of how you build a business partnership with a brother and a brother-in-law, right? Two brothers married two sisters. And that in itself is a whole another podcast of how to make that go. And we did it, right?
Yeah.
And so Jason helped me start that vision of what was possible. And each person is just a critical cog and component to build something successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can look back on, obviously there's team members that I have that have been crucial to the same thing that you're talking about, just pieces along the way that make it what it is. But I can even look back on strategic relationships, other business owners that have no interest in my business on paper, but that have been immense cogs in the wheel, like you're talking about, where you're like, oh my goodness, wow, if I hadn't have met that person, or if I hadn't have connected, or if I hadn't have rubbed shoulders, if I hadn't gotten that download from them, I wouldn't be where I am. And so you start adding that stuff up and you start getting really thankful for people and relationships like pretty quick.
Yeah, no doubt. For the first 8 or 9 years of our business, it was very inward looking, just grind it out. If we can turn the revenue, we'll make it happen. And we had our heads in the sand, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We call that warrior mode.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. It's just go to war. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
In 2010, I just said, man, I got into a dark place. And I just said, I'm probably better off. My family's probably better off with me gone. I'm worth more dead than alive.
Wow.
And I probably just need to exit, right? Because doing what we're doing, we're beating our head against a damn brick wall.
Yeah.
We're turning revenue. Hey, if we get to X, then we'll be okay. No, it's the bottom line. Is it worth it? All the energy and effort. And it was in 2010, 2009, 2010, where I just said, hey, enough's enough. You talk about having courage and even at different levels, you face fear. But I just said, hey, it's time to have open kimono conversations with others and figure out, what are we doing wrong? What's not working? How do we do this better? And to me, that was one of probably 2 or 3 biggest decisions and best decisions we've ever made in our lives. Is I just looked out and I said, okay, I'm going to go to other locations. I'm going to start talking to other people. And I'm just going to really go, dude, this is what we're screwing up. This is what we're not doing right.
Yep.
What are you doing right? What works? Compare the P&Ls. Go line for line. What's working? What's not? How do you structure the business right? What should or should not be happening? And some really honest questions that made all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And the second decision we made that made all the difference in the world was reaching out and start coaching. We couldn't go any higher. We couldn't build our business any further than we were willing to elevate and raise our skill set, mindset, and networking. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just amazing at that point, at our lowest, darkest, deepest point, to go, what are we doing wrong? How do we do this better?
Yeah.
And from then, it's been an absolute reach out, network, connect, build that's made all the difference in the world.
Yeah. How, so inside the warrior mode, you're right. It's head down, grind, war, survival, really.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You had mentioned it for a period of time. You kind of have to do that so that the business has enough resource really to start creating systems and hiring people and freeing up that mindset a little bit. But the person listening right now that's maybe not in the king mindset yet, they're in warrior mode. What can you give to them practically that helped you get to that place where you started thinking relationships, networking, asking for help, paying for a coach or joining a mastermind or whatever. All those things are that helped you in that moment that they haven't done yet, or maybe they've thought about it, or maybe they just hadn't even come across their radar. What would you say?
The biggest excuse is, right, we don't have the money, right? We can't afford to do this.
That's right.
I think, Chaz, my advice and counsel would be, you can't afford not to do it, right?
Yeah.
You cut something else out, you push off a bill or something else.
That's right.
And you figure out a way to spend $400 a month or $250 a month, coaching with somebody twice a month, or, you have to do that because the blind spots you just don't see and you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And somebody has already been in those bootstraps. They've already been through that war, and you've got to go and ask questions of them. We got to a point, and what's changed it for us is we were at an annual conference in Minneapolis, and Jeremy just said, "Hey, I'm coaching with Carlos. You probably ought to utilize him." And I went back to Jason. I said, "Hey man, it's going to cost us $1,700 a month. We don't have that." And I said, I don't give a damn.
We're going to do it.
We're spending $1,700 a month. Other bills will get put off. I'll postpone something else.
Yep.
But we're spending the $1,700 a month, and we're going to figure out a different way to do this. And that made all the difference in the world.
Yeah. You got committed to growth. You got committed to change. You got committed to leveling up. And I just posted about this on Facebook the other day. The difference between obviously being interested or committed is fairly obvious.
Yeah.
So many people are interested. And even entrepreneurs, like, I'm just out here, I'm building my business, but I'm interested, or I'm interested in leveling up. I'm interested in getting some answers. I'm not really committed, because what you just described is committed. It's all in. I don't care. I will do this because I have to. In order to succeed, I know I have to go to the next level. And it becomes now a burning desire. And $1,700, it could have been $17,000. You would have said yes.
Yeah. Now, when you go and spend, when someone proposes, hey, a mastermind group of $10,000 or $15,000, it's like, okay, yep, done, right?
Yep.
No issue, no problem, because it's going to be a 10x return on leveling up, and becoming better.
Yeah. Okay. So I have to use this opportunity, Shane, because you just took us right here. And my mindset has not always been like this. Trust me, because when I was in warrior mode, I didn't invest in myself in this way either. I would go to the other franchisees and I would ask them for help, and that's fine. And that was step one. Step two was the external, the coaches, the groups, like, and I just didn't get there right away. I think that I was stuck in the mindset. But once I did, it just was so clear to me that like you just said, 10, 15, even a $50,000 or $100,000 decision where you're like, I changed one thing. Like, you're telling me I can't add $100,000 to my business by meeting one person over the next 12 months? So now this is a half promotion for Gathering the Kings.
Yeah.
Shane is not a member yet.
Not yet.
Shane is not a member, but legit, like right here, you have an outside of the Gathering the Kings group perspective. Why is it so easy for you to say $10,000 or $20,000? I know for sure that there's somebody or something that I will get from that 12-month period of time that 10x, like you just said. How do you know that?
Just experience. You just go do it.
Yeah.
Right. It's a different shift in mindset, because we went and bit the bullet and just said, hey, we're going to go spend.
Yeah. And it's kind of like this the first time.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And it was out of pure desperation. But I just looked at Dan Sullivan's, his coaching. I don't know if you've heard of Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan.
Yeah, got it right over here.
Oh yeah. So I think it's probably a $50,000 a year investment.
Yeah.
But personally, not from the business, I'd be willing and debating about doing that personally.
Yeah.
To go and invest that because it has given a return, right? We took a $2.5 million company at that time and still $2.5 million and barely breaking even most of the time in the red,
right?
To go spend $1,700, build a $6 million company and have 20% NOI.
Yeah.
And a whole different mindset and lifestyle and connect. That would probably be one of my best decisions we've ever made.
Yeah.
Is coaching.
Yeah.
And
Good.
just networking.
Let's flip the script. You've given us some really practical things, even a little half promo there for Gathering the Kings. I appreciate that. But what about the bad decision? What'd you do that we can stay away from?
I'm going to do it on my own grit. We'll figure this out, right? It's just the opposite of that. Head in the sand, pride. No, I should know exactly what a P&L tells me or the story that a balance sheet tells me. I should know how to do this. There's no way I'm going to go ask someone else. And so those were some of the poor decisions of pride.
Yeah.
You said, now you're in warrior mode. Yes, you've got to be in warrior mode, but I wish at year 10, what we learned at year 10, that I would have implemented in year 2.
Right.
Right. And the speed with which we would have covered ground.
You're right.
And took market share.
Yeah.
Would have been 10 times, 20 times faster.
Right.
And so I think one of the terrible decisions was that. Another one is trying to be something that you're not, right?
Okay.
We in 2009, 2010, we went and opened up a franchise in Seattle.
Okay.
We had no freaking business to go do that.
Why?
Right. It was a visionary play. It was dude, let's go do it. It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity.
And it kicked our arse.
Yeah.
It sent us for 2-3 years back in Denver.
Interesting.
And it lasted a year and then we pulled out. And so trying to be someone
because it was a distraction, because it spread you too thin.
Took capital from Denver. Took our emotional, mental capital, our focus.
Yeah.
And so that was in most respects, a really poor decision.
Yeah.
And just put unneeded stress. Yeah. Let's go get it. It's an opportunity. Yeah. You got to don't be stupid about it. Right.
Right.
And so those are probably some poor decisions that we've made. I can tell you a lot of stupid decisions and tell you what not to do. We're good at that.
Yeah.
And so, and we're just starting to scratch the surface of some good decisions and some things that we've done really, really well.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I think that you've kind of bubbled everything up into, yes, you can be on your own for a period of time, but don't stay there. In fact, try to cut it sooner. And I would agree with that. I think that was probably one of my biggest oopses as well, is that I just thought I had it all together, and I was moving fast, doing a lot of revenue, and I was the youngest franchisee
here.
Yeah, I was rookie franchisee of the year the first year, and at 25 years old, you just couldn't have filled my ego anymore. And
the world whipped and figured.
Yeah, and maybe for 25 I did, but like, is that where I was wanting to go, or am I not done? Right. So it all goes back to how you started, is like going, okay, well, what's the potential here? And as you start realizing that it's more and more and more, you go, oh, geez, the more money I make, you realize I need to be better with my stewardship, like we were talking about earlier.
The better stewardship.
Let's continue on with maybe some steps here. I want to, before we go to the speed round, do you have any decision-making steps? Something that comes across your desk, you and your business partners, is there a certain philosophy that you have of how to make a good decision today? You're saying you're making some good ones.
Yeah, I think, what's the effect on the bottom line EBITDA? Right now, we're totally in that mode, right? Because we're trying to build to set it up to have another exit, another sale, right?
Yeah.
So everything right now is EBITDA. What is the effect on EBITDA? Mm-hmm. We're a multi-million dollar business, right? We've been very successful. I just flew out here to Spokane to meet with our agency, the Wood Shop, and Jeremy, hey, can I crash at your place? I'm not going to go and spend money on a posh hotel or some swanky hotel. Hey, can I crash at your place? One, for relationship, right? To build and connect. But two, if it sucks the bottom line, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just not going to do it. The other one, obviously, can we get a return ROI on it? Right.
Right.
But does it support which direction we're rolling? And if it doesn't support it, I'm not doing it. Right.
That's right.
If it's not helping the bottom line, and that's the one, I think, KPI that for right now, and I asked Jeremy the same question as we were driving over here to the office today. What is it? What is the one thing that you would measure if you could? And right now it's EBITDA, right? Not at the expense of relationships and everything else, but is it profitable? Is it going to help us get to the next sell? And if it's not, you better think long and hard about doing it.
Yeah. You mentioned this earlier, so I want to kind of tie these two pieces together for the listener. You said at some point there's going to be an exit. My brother Jason and I, whether it's him that leaves or I that leave, or we both, I mean, at some point, whether you give it to your kids, whether you sell to somebody else, whether you pass away and the business closes, there is going to be an exit.
One way or another.
So when you kind of settle that in your spirit, you go, okay, well, what would be the most advantageous way to exit? And so now you start thinking about, okay, like how do I build the machine so that the EBITDA number can actually provide an exit? And I love the strategic thinking in that. It seems so simple to folks like you and I, but there's a listener who doesn't even know what EBITDA is right now, which is fine.
Yeah.
They can go look at that. It's the net. Okay, fine. Okay. When you can take that number times the multiplier and sell your business, that's what's valuable. It's a representation of what's inside. Okay, fine. My first question in the speed round is, what's the one thing that you would track? You've already said it. It's EBITDA. So as an owner listening right now, who maybe understands or doesn't understand the concept of building a machine unto EBITDA so that I can exit, what would you say that you have, or maybe an understanding or maybe some nuggets here on why you're tracking EBITDA? Yes, it's to sell, but like help the person that maybe isn't as far along as you to be able to like really grasp. It's not even just the profit of the business. Yeah. Okay, fine. But it's this so that I can this.
It's even going back, right? That young entrepreneur that's building the company, are you building to sell it? Or are you siphoning crap off because you think you're entitled to things out of the business?
Right.
Are you making decisions like, hey, you know what? I can't go buy that boat because I've turned the revenue. I hit my monthly goals. Don't do it right now, man. Build it so that when you can sell it, you have a lifestyle and a way of being and of living that you truly, truly want. Postpone that a little bit. The immediacy, it will eat your lunch every freaking time.
Yeah.
And so, it goes backwards for me, Chaz, is if I'm going to spend money in my business, am I going to buy a new van that's going to produce revenue? Or am I going to do something just to blow and throw that money down the toilet, right? You start to see, and we did that for the first 8 years, right? There was some entitlement. There was, hey man, I built a business. I'm working my butt off. I'm sacrificing. I can spend a little bit there. I'll go to that nice restaurant. I'll go buy that nice truck and the business will pay for it. Man, it's been a total mind shift. We just did have an exit, right? And Jason did leave the business and go do other things. And some of the questions like, well, what are you going to do to go celebrate? What irresponsible thing are you going to go buy? And we talked about it. We laughed about it, but none of us did it.
Yeah.
None of us went and did the irresponsible thing. We're like, hell no, man. We're going to reinvest. We're going to keep some money in. We're going to go and clear some debt.
Yeah.
I didn't go do it. I didn't go buy a boat. I didn't buy a new truck. I bought my wife a new car.
Yeah.
Because she deserved it.
She really deserves. Yeah, exactly. She deals with
But having a true perspective, it's not top line revenue. You can go and turn $100 million and still lose your butt.
Yep.
And if that's the case, why? What's it for? What? And so to that young entrepreneur that, EBITDA to me, it helps. That's a decision process to, am I going to spend the money or not? Am I going to buy that or not? Yeah. Does it help the bottom line or not? Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't,
yeah, it's almost like that. A little bit. Yeah, dude, you gave us so much. It's almost like that's now what you protect is that EBITDA number. And I think
It's
that
not worth my time and energy and effort.
when you
You
can
know,
see the vision of what that turns into is what you're saying.
yeah. And if you're not taking some time, Jeremy said it this morning, he finds more enjoyment. I find more enjoyment now of stepping back and looking, what problems can we solve?
Right.
What opportunity can we develop?
Yeah.
And more of the strategic thinking instead of the grind. Even as a young entrepreneur, I wish I would have stepped back more and just took stock and perspective instead of just grind, get after it. Just, there's got to be a time to step back and build that vision and realign to say, okay, this is why I'm doing it. This is where I'm going. I'm going to postpone this today for that tomorrow or a year or 10 years down the road.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that EBITDA, it drives a lot of that vision, a lot of those decision makings.
Yeah.
Each and every day.
The discipline, of delayed gratification. You said something earlier that I want to bring up here in a second, but before we get to that, there's somebody listening right now, some guru probably, who's like, oh, you have to enjoy the journey. You can't delay it all, which I am also a fan of. Like, you have to make
Yes.
memories along the way. So
Yeah.
my question to you, Shane, is how do you do that and not make the quote unquote irresponsible decision when you have a success? Like, there is a journey along the way. There is the celebrations, there are the wins. How do you do that, but yet still have the like ultimate, like, man, if we just hold off, because it's a tug pull.
When you look at a multiple, right? When you think, man, if I hold back and I can create another $100,000 in profitability, and you multiply that by 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, whatever, right? 17. Right. That's a huge motivator to say, I'm going to hold on. Right. And I've sucked at this kind of celebrating as we go. I can get 80% done and go, okay, great, whatever. I still got 20% left to do. I'm going to focus there. And my coaching business partners have done really well to say, no, you gotta celebrate. You've got to, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. It may just be, hey, Shanine, you know what? We just took the largest distribution, and this is in our last sell, but earlier on, we just took a $10,000 distribution that we've never taken earlier on in our business.
Right.
Let's go do a nice dinner. Let's go stay in a hotel downtown and just recognize and celebrate.
Yeah.
Or just maybe writing down, hey, dude, I won today. And this is how I won. This is how I celebrated. And enjoy the journey. One other thing that has helped me is just to step back and say, okay, what relationships have been built because of this?
Yeah.
What opportunities? And Dr. Benjamin Hardy talks a ton about this. And I love his book, The Gap and the Gain. I don't know if you've ever read that one, but
I haven't read it yet, but it's on the list. I'm
The Gap and the Gain. It doesn't matter what Jeremy or Chad or Jason or Jake or anyone else does. Am I better today than I was yesterday? Am I better this month than I was last month? Right. And to me, for a long time, that was the celebration. That was enjoying the journey,
right,
and measuring things right.
Totally.
Because for a long time, it was always, damn it, man. Jeremy's doing this or Jason's doing this. And that FOMO, getting that out of your life, is a huge step in enjoying that journey.
You're right. That FOMO that you're talking about is tied to a lot of the material things, because we see so-and-so got the truck or so-and-so went on the trip or whatever. And look, truck experience, dinner, whatever, like we've all done those things.
Yeah.
I think what you're really saying is that it's all about timing, and the timing to do those things, the later effects of that decision.
And if it's at the wrong time, in your heart and soul, that I'm swimming in water that I should not be swimming in.
Don't.
Or when the financial waters recede, everyone's going to see I'm naked, right?
Yep,
I'm swimming in waters that I should not be swimming in. And sooner or later, you're going to get exposed.
Yeah.
And you're going to be shown for who you really are if you're swimming in waters that you shouldn't be swimming in. Or the timing. And I like how you put that, Chaz, the timing. If the timing's not right, you damn well know in your heart and soul.
You do.
When it's a wrong timing. When it's a right timing, it's a sweet feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. You said something earlier that I want you to repeat. I think it was actually before we hit the recording button, but you talked about making money, keeping money, multiplying money. Share with the listener what you shared with me.
Yeah. There's a quote that I shot out to our group the other day and swing to it really quick. Making money is a skill set. Keeping money is a discipline. Multiplying money is a stewardship. And
Yeah.
you get to that point, the sooner you can get to that point of stewardship, that doesn't mean you got to be a hermit and you can't do anything.
Right.
But it's the time. I love how you said the timing, that stewardship
That's
becomes a
stewardship
true,
because it's decisions.
yeah, deep fulfillment when the timing's right. And I can be in these waters.
Yeah.
I love how you said that. The timing of it makes all the difference in the world. And you do get to a point, it is a point of stewardship.
Yeah.
And recognizing too, Chad was always good with me on this. It's not, hey, when I get there, when I'm arrived, you're already there. It's a mindset. You're there, right? Dr. Benjamin Hardy, be your future self now, that mindset.
Yeah.
The sooner you can do that in business, I wish I would have done it a lot earlier. I'm already there. Enjoy the journey. Because when it's always, when I get there, one day, when we turn 3 million, when we have 10 trucks, well, my wife always says it. Your 10-year ago self would be kicking the crap out of yourself now because you got to that point and now you're still thinking, well, only if we get to 8 or 10 million. No, enjoy being at 5, 6 million.
Yeah.
And work towards being at the 8, 10 million down the road. So
yeah, grateful, but not done. I want to transition again here to the next speed round question. That was one of the longest speed round questions that I think I've had, but it was so good. I mean, probably could have just ended the podcast there, but there's more.
Keep it shorter.
No, please don't. For the sake of the listener, please don't. I mean, yeah, everything that we just went through, we could have done just that and it would have been a super valuable podcast. So thank you for that. What book or resource would you recommend for someone listening wants to grow as an individual or a business owner?
I think one of the best books that I've read is, as I mentioned earlier, is The Gap in the Game.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm in the middle of Be Your Future Self Now.
Okay.
Dr. Benjamin Hardy has been super, super good. And if I go to my Audible really quick, to answer that question,
you might have a couple of scrolls.
Who, not how. That's another great one.
Sullivan.
Essentialism.
Yeah,
Greg McEwen, Multipliers, Liz Wiseman, and Greg McEwen, even some of Jocko's, that dichotomy of leadership.
Yeah.
I think for early on, going back really quick, for that early entrepreneur, right? What is that thing that's going to get me to the next level? And I think you talk about how do you get from 6 to 7 or 500,000 to $1 million. Traction was a big one for us. Putting systems in place and accountability. We hold weekly tactical financial review meetings. What are we going to get done in the next week? Right. We're a $6 million business and we still do that every week. Our management team, what am I going to get done in the next 6 days tactically? Every week we look at that. And then quarterly, we put rocks together. What are the big things I'm going to do quarter? So I do that in a business. I do that personally with Shanine, financially and personally. So those are just some of the books that have been super helpful for me.
It's good. I want to ask you a question, Shane, about family. I've been on this, not even really like a kick because I've got 4 kids. I know you've got a few more than I do, but there is a reality in every entrepreneur's life if they are married and have children. Really, it's in everybody, but even more so where you have a wife and a kid or multiple kids where, okay, I'm all in. Like you talked about, you've gone all in on the business actually multiple times. You had that moment where you go all in.
Yep.
Obsession. And that's what leads to success. So it's like, okay, well, if I'm obsessed over here, oftentimes the entrepreneurs, then we leave this over here. So how do you obsess over marriage, your kids, and the business all at the same time?
The focus is relationships. For me, that's what it's been. Just a wise mentor and good friend of mine, Bob Davis, one day just told me, he said, Shane, you're doing the easy thing. Going to work and grinding is the easy thing. Going home and being dad and being husband and father, that's the hard thing. Yeah. Go do that. But I think I've found a good balance. I get in, I get crap done that needs to get done. And then I get home and I go do what needs to be done there. And so for me, it's just the focus on relationships. And for me, keeping that focus has kept the balance. And it wasn't always that way. Right. In 2011, when our business should have gone under, we should have closed the doors and have been done. but it was no focus on the relationships and everything else will work out from there. No success will compensate for failure in the home is my belief.
Right.
And failure relationships. And so for me, that's been the thing, is focus on relationships.
Yeah. I mean, just to take that one layer deeper, because you just so good to have that as like the obsession. The business isn't the obsession. The other parts, it's relationships. Okay. What does that look like practically with your wife? What does that look like practically with your kids? We kind of get the business piece. You've talked about the teams and even the traction piece. Okay, fine. How do you implement those things on a regular basis? So it's not just like checklist. Oop, I did
Oh,
dad.
totally.
That it's actually about the relationships. How do you do that?
I think just tactically, what that looks like. I've got a reminder on my phone every day, and I send at least one text of encouragement or recognition to one of my children. And I've got to get back to this. I did it for years and years and years. I have one-on-ones with my children. On the first Sunday of every month, I sit down and have one-on-ones, just dad and desserts. And so we just go through and just talk through what's going on in their lives, what's working, what's not, what can I do? What are your goals? What are your plans? Weekly date nights. This is one that a very good friend of mine gave me years ago. And I do quarterly trips with Shanine. Come hell or high water, we're on our quarterly. And before we leave that quarterly trip, we plan out what the next one is.
Yeah.
And that just kind of just keeps you looking forward.
Yeah.
But there's something that I do with each of my children once a month. That's just one-on-one and an activity. I show up to their games, come hell or high water, doesn't matter. What Jason and I always said, Zerorez is not the most important thing in our life. If this fails, fine. Our family's still going to succeed. And so those are some practical things that I do. I've got 2 children on church missions right now, talk to them weekly, but it's just always the forefront of my mind is those relationships. How do I connect with them? What legacy do I want to leave with? When I come home, I just started this just 2 months ago. Just at the next level, thinking, how do I connect with my children more? I leave everything in my truck when I come home. I don't take my phone in. I don't take my backpack in. I leave everything in the truck. I don't take trash out. I walk into the house and I hug each of the people that are at home.
Yeah.
And I'll hug them for 5, 6, 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back out, grab my bag, grab my computer, bring it in, set it up.
Yeah.
But I used to come home and say, okay, why aren't the dishes done? Or what's going on here? And just a couple of months ago, I just said, I'm just going to come home and I'm just going to hug each one of them, tell them I love them. And the last one, my daughter started this years and years ago. We don't get off a phone call. We don't leave a house without saying, I love you. And if I hang up with Michaela and I haven't said it, she calls me back and she's like, what the hell? Why haven't you told me I love you? And so she started and implemented that years ago, that it's just those practical things that have kept, back to your other question, kept the balance.
Yeah.
So
high
anyway,
logic
a long answer
individual.
to
Yeah, no, it all super good. I hope that they were taking notes on their notepad. I was going to say that us high logic individuals need those high heart individuals like your daughter.
Yeah.
Otherwise we
And
just be
the other thing, right, that's made this all successful completely is just an awesome wife.
Yeah.
She's all in, right? She's all in. She's like, come what may, we're going to love it. I said, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can keep a partnership going in the business with a brother, or I don't know if I can run this business on my own. And she's always just said, sweetheart, you got this.
Yeah.
I trust you. I know I married you long ago. I don't marry losers. I don't marry quitters. And so she just said, and she says, I don't marry ugly people.
Yeah.
And so that's all felt. But she just said, I believe you. You got this. I know you got it.
Yeah.
And so that hands down has been the best is to have a support and a wife that's all in and believes that we got this. And you know what? We've lost a lot of money too.
That's right.
And she says, you know what? Hey, it's money. That's okay.
I believe in you still.
We'll go figure it out. So the whole family component, the other thing that has helped me a lot too is I've shared the struggles. My kids have seen, they've seen me break down.
Yeah.
They've seen me cry and on my knees in prayer as a family of how are we going to figure this out? Yeah. How do we take care of a couple hundred people that are in our business? And they've seen the reality of, wow, dad's struggling. He's stressed.
Yeah.
I need to pray for him. I need Dad, I'm here for you. Sharing that with my kids and my family and not trying to go, dude, I'm the man. I got this all figured out.
Right.
No, you don't. No, you don't. There's a lot of shit you don't know.
Yeah.
And sharing that with my kids and seeing the reality of it. And then seeing the flip side of, we figured out, we got through that war and we figured it out. And it has built trust and a relationship and possibility. My kids, that they're now serving 2 years teaching about religion and Jesus Christ.
Right.
They face some hard things, but they've said, you know what? I know we can do this. We've seen it. We've watched it.
Yeah.
We know we can do it. And so
yeah, it's huge.
Those are some just practical, tactical things that have made all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Super, super vulnerable there. I just really appreciate that. I think that if we're listening today and honest with ourselves, those things are like really, really like the actual things of life that matter. And so if we just kind of shake everything else loose, then we just keep going, because that's actually what matters. My last question is this: if you could whisper in the younger Shane's ear, what would you say?
If I could whisper into my ear, just relax. It's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all going to be okay.
Would that be enough
So,
to keep the younger Shane calm and engaged and not all press and intense?
Yeah. Jeremy he busts my chops all the time. I'm a passionate dude. I've got some passion and as people would say, P&V. That's tapered off and tamed a lot of just that. I don't know if I can just say one thing, but just relax. It's going to be okay. But even if the proverbial crap hits the fan, there's always plan B. You'll figure it out. And so, yeah, or enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. And yeah, that's hard, Chaz, to just say one word. I don't know. What do you whisper to yourself 20 years ago?
Apple, a Bitcoin. No, I'm just kidding. It's funny. It's actually funny. So no one on the show has returned the question to me other than you now. But my team, as they've listened to hundreds of these episodes now, and I haven't always asked that as my last question, but my media director would be like, hey, so what would your answer be to that? And I answered just like that: Apple, Bitcoin, Tesla.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, that's such a cop out. I go, I hear you, but that's absolutely the first thing that comes to my mind. And then secondarily, okay, yes, it's okay, Chaz, everything's going to be fine. Like similar to what you would say, but man.
Hey, I appreciate the honesty, right? Apple, Bitcoin, nail it. Don't worry about it afterward. And
just write this one thing down on a napkin. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. Just peace.
Yeah.
Be still.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Trust. That's for me.
That's
like I said, it's been a 10-year journey for me. Peace, happiness, and contentment is not tied to what is in the bank account. Separating that out in my relationship to money has been one of the major journeys over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Is to separate that. My peace, joy, and happiness isn't dictated by what's in the bank account.
Exactly. Well, and I think a practical, since we're on this, we're going to go back and forth. You're 100% right, because what starts as ambition or survival, obviously you have to be money focused. You have to be money conscious, because that's what builds things. Okay, fine.
Yep.
But that separation that you're talking about is that you realize it's a game, which is everything that you just said to your younger self, which is relax, everything's going to be fine. Like, in essence, what you're saying is like, don't get caught up on the little stuff. It's just a game. Like, you're going to figure it out. Don't worry. They're just pieces. They're just pieces.
And you're not going to sit back and just go, hey, everything's fine, man. I don't have to do anything. Bull crap.
Right.
You still work your arse off, right?
Yep.
You're still, but it's I call it simplicity on the far side of complexity.
Ooh.
Simplicity on the far side of complexity. You've got to go through the complex. You've got to go through the war. But when you can get on the far side, simplicity on the far side of complexity, it becomes a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And if I could have done that in my late 20s, early 30s, dude, there's a lot of peace and contempt that I missed out on because I didn't just relax and not worry. And Shanine is good about that. She's just like, hey, listen, it's all going to be okay. It'll work out. And it's just money. You lose a couple 100,000 and it's money.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
And so I'm eternally grateful to my family, to Shane. They have been saviors to me in my life, literally. And there's so much runway ahead of us, that meeting individuals like yourself, it just like what's possible and what's ahead. Hey, I'm excited for the journey.
Yeah. Shane, I want to know, how can the listener connect with you? Number one, if they need carpet cleaning, how can they use your services? But then number two, how can they reach out to you as a business owner? They want to pick your brain.
I shot over our LinkedIn, our web. I mean, if they want to shoot me an email or call me, I'm game. And that's so. I don't know if I want to give that to you. You put it on with the podcast, or
yeah, we'll put it on the show notes.
Shane Karren at gmail.com.
There you go.
Is one. You can go to my LinkedIn. And you guys will have that up.
Yep.
Our website, call the office, ask for Shane. I'm always game to talk with people and just talk you off the ledge some days, or just say, hey, this is what we did wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm always game for that.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you for not only just sharing, giving your time, but being vulnerable in the midst of it, and really just giving us the real story. And I just wish you blessing on your family, your kiddos, your wife, and your team, all the plans that you have with the next conglomerate. Thank you for being here and giving your time.
I so appreciate it, and right back at you. I look forward to getting to know you better and connecting more, but the opportunity and just the genuineness that you've got. And I wish you all the best of luck gathering the kings and building kings.
There you go. Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing literally over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings literally exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.